Okay, my name is Jason, and this is what happened when I was about 16 years old. I'm 27 now, and what happened that day would change everything. I live in West Virginia, where there are mountains all around. So I grew up in the woods, hunting, camping, riding ATVs. One day, two of my friends, Brian and Jesse, and I went out on our ATVs to find a place to camp that weekend. This was Thursday, and we wanted to find a spot to camp on Saturday. We went pretty far into the woods to try and find the best spot we could because we were bringing our girlfriends camping with us. So we got probably 5 or 6 miles back into the woods and found this little lake, and we all knew we found it. We got off and checked everything out, made sure it wasn't private property or anything, but there were no signs and no house around for miles. "This is it," Jesse said, and we all agreed. It was perfect. So we all got back on our four-wheelers and headed back, knowing that Saturday was going to be a night to remember, but what we didn't know was it would be the worst night of our lives. We got back the next day, got all our gear loaded up, fishing poles, tents, sleeping bags. We made sure we had everything we needed to make it a fun night, including 3 bottles of Mad Dog and a 30-pack of Bud Light in a cooler. We were ready. We all met up at about 11 o'clock Saturday morning and headed out to our perfect camping spot. When we got there, it was great. We put the tents up, got firewood, set everything up. The girls loved it too, except Brian's girlfriend. We'll call her Kat. She said she felt uneasy, but we just figured it was because she had never been camping before. So we started fishing, swimming, and drinking, just doing everything teenagers do. But Kat just kept looking around and wouldn't join us at all, just sat by the lake. Finally, it started to get dark, so we started a fire and made some hot dogs. Just sitting around it, talking, telling stories, everything you do when you camp. It's about 11:30 when Jesse's girl, Sam, says she's going to go pee, and Kat goes with her. They're gone maybe 4 minutes when they come running back, saying Kat saw something behind a tree watching them. I grabbed my 9mm Smith that I brought, and Jesse and I went to check it out. We don't find anything, so we think the scary campfire stories just freaked them out. We get back and tell them we didn't find anything, but Kat said she knows what she saw and wants to leave. We get her to chill out, and me having a gun kinda puts her mind at ease. After about 45 minutes, we all were ready to lay down and spend alone time with our significant others, and no one is even thinking about what Kat saw anymore. I wish we would have left because about an hour goes by. My girl, Lindsay, is asleep, but I'm just laying there listening to the sounds of the woods when I start to hear footsteps. At first I think it's one of the others, but then I could tell whoever was walking was trying to do it quietly. The footsteps stop at my tent door, and I start to freak inside but don't make a sound. They stand there for at least 3 minutes. Then I see the zipper start to slowly unzip. I start to grab my gun when I realize I left it in my bag by the campfire. So stupid, I'm thinking. The zipper moves about 6 inches slowly when Lindsay coughs and it stops. She's still asleep and doesn't know someone or something is trying to sneak in our tent. I hear nothing for about 5 minutes, then footsteps again, but sneaking away from my tent. I can't move. I'm terrified. All I can do is stay quiet and hope it doesn't come back. 30 minutes pass when all of a sudden the most crazy, evil-sounding scream I've ever heard comes from the next tent over. Brian and Kat's, and they start screaming, "No, please no." I jump up, running out of the tent, and Lindsay is awake now. I run right to my bag for my gun, Lindsay right beside me, terrified, not knowing what's going on. I grab it out and look at their tent, and what I see still haunts my dreams to this day. This pale, white, long arms with long claws at the end of its long fingers. It's like a humanoid type thing just taking chunks out of Brian, biting him. I fire. It looks up and its yellow eyes look into my soul. I'm shaking as it starts galloping towards us, Lindsay screaming. I fire again. It takes off into the woods, screaming that god-awful scream. We run up to their tent and Jesse and Sam saw it all happening too. So we all run to Brian and Kat, but it was too late. They were both torn up. You couldn't even tell who was who. The girls were crying. Jesse puked, and I felt like I was in a nightmare. I had like tunnel vision. I was scanning the wood, hoping whatever that was didn't come back. Jesse and the girls were all huddled up to me as we made our way to the ATVs. I'm looking at the wood the whole time with the gun pointed towards the way that thing ran off. We get to the ATVs, and I realize the keys are in the tent in my pants pocket. I'm in my boxers. About that time, we hear that thing scream again. I tell them to wait there. I gotta go back and get the keys. I didn't have a choice as much as I didn't want to go back. I run as fast as I can to the tent, grab the keys and turn to run back, and there it comes out of the woods running right at me. I raise the gun and start firing. I hit it because it yelped and screamed and turned and ran back to the woods again. I ran back to the ATVs and we rode out of there so fast I'm surprised we didn't wreck and kill ourselves. We went right to the cops and told them everything that happened. They went up to where we were, came back after what seemed like forever, and took us back there with them. By this time it was light out. We get back there and everything was destroyed. The tents are ripped up, stuff is thrown everywhere. They take me up to Brian's tent and there's blood everywhere but no bodies. The cop says, "Where are they?" I said, "I don't know. They were here when we left. That thing must have taken them." Then they start saying it looks like a bear did this and trying to say we were drunk and must have been mistaken about what we saw. I know what I saw, and whatever that was, it wasn't even close to looking like a bear. It's over 10 years later and Brian and Kat's bodies have never been found. It was written up as a black bear attack. I never talked about it to anyone. Jesse and Sam got married, moved to Florida. Lindsay moved too, but we broke up not long after that happened, so I don't even know where. What still gets me is whatever that was at our tent first, but Lindsay's coughed, and it went to Brian and Kat's tent. I don't know why, but I know a cough saved my life. A little background story. I'm Tessa, 14 years old. I live in Minnesota and go to this one campground up north in the middle of nowhere. I've been going to that campground for 11 years and still go there to this day. It had been open for only a year or two before I started going there. My mom is really popular there, and we know everyone. They always have parties or stay up until 1 o'clock drunk. This particular night haunts me forever. My friend Chloe and I were best friends. She was the shy brunette and I was the wild blonde. She never liked sleepovers. One night we planned on having a sleepover in a tent outside her actual camper. Our parents did not stay out late that one night for some reason. Maybe they were tired or had something to do early the next day. We had a fire and did regular camping things like roasting marshmallows and telling stories. It was about 1 when we decided to go to this shower house with showers and bathrooms. It was one of the best campgrounds in North America. It's a fact, not my opinion. They had everything you could ask for in a campground. So we were in the shower house planning to hang out because the shower house and the lodge are the only places that have Wi-Fi. My data does not work because it is in the middle of nowhere. So we plan on staying there till 3 a.m., just chatting and browsing the internet. It's about 2 a.m. and we need chargers. Our phones are dying and we don't want to lose contact with the outside world. We go to her camper, grab our chargers, and on our way back, we're outside the door for some air before we go inside. Chloe is on her phone and around the corner behind her is an old guy, or maybe a woman, looks to be 100 years old, walking a rat, or at least it looks like one. It's dark and we can barely see anything. I scream and tell her what I see, and the guy has a crazy smile on him. He looks like he's up to no good. We run as fast as our long legs let us, about 2 steps till we get inside. I start crying because I'm so scared, and she is freaking out because she does not know what was just behind her back. The plug-ins are chargers, and we hesitate to call either of our parents. We feel like they would get really mad at us and not even believe us. We were not even supposed to be up past 1 on that night. So now we're freaking out and ready to just bust out the door. We've been in there for an hour at this point, past the time we saw the creepy old man. We hesitate to open the door but end up opening the door, thinking that we're going to die. We run out the door and as I turn around I see the creepy old man with something that looks like a knife in his hand right around the corner of where we almost got stabbed. He's still smiling and he's coming towards us. We scream and run to our parents' campers, hoping they're awake and can help us. To this day, we almost always remember this night. It was the scariest night of our lives. P.S. Our parents believed us and were mad at us for not calling them. They said we should have called them right away, and they would have come to get us. They also said we should never go out that late again, especially without telling them. They were worried sick about us. Hey Reddit, I've got a wild story from last weekend that's still giving me the creeps. It's easily the most terrifying thing that's ever happened to me, and the fact that I made it out alive is nothing short of a miracle. I'm an avid solo camper, always seeking out remote and secluded spots. I've explored numerous national parks and wilderness areas without any issues, until last weekend. I decided to venture into a forest in the north of Norway where I reside. It is a beautiful place with dense pine trees, rocky hills, and crystal clear lakes. I'd been there before, but this time I wanted to delve deeper into the woods, where few people dared to go. Packed up my car with camping gear, some grub, water, and a map. Even brought my phone, though I knew there'd be no signal. The plan? Capture the stunning scenery in pictures and videos. Drove for about 4 hours until I hit a dirt road leading to the forest. Followed it for another hour until I found a sign reading "No vehicles beyond this point." Parked my car in a small clearing, locked it up, and stashed the keys. Checked the map and spotted a trail leading deeper into the forest. Decided to follow it and see where it took me. I started hiking, surrounded by nature. The only sounds were birds, the wind, and my own footsteps. That sense of peace and freedom enveloped me, as it always does when I'm in the wild. Never encountered anyone else on the trail, perfectly fine with me. I hiked for about 3 hours until I found a sweet spot to set up camp, a flat area near a small stream. I pitched my tent, unpacked my sleeping bag and mat, and started a fire. Then I cooked up some noodles and enjoyed them while watching the sunset. Darkness descended and the temperature dropped, so I decided to hit the hay early, planning to rise at dawn. Crawled into my tent, zipped it up, and lay down on my sleeping bag. I closed my eyes and drifted off to sleep. Don't know what time it was when I woke up, but a sudden jolt of fear hit me. Opened my eyes, listened, pitch black and dead silent, too quiet. Couldn't hear the stream, wind, or birds, only my breathing and my heart pounding in my chest. Then came the footsteps outside my tent. Someone or something was circling my campsite. I froze, hoping it was just an animal, maybe a deer, fox, or bear. Tried to calm myself, thinking of what to do. Reached for my phone, turned on the flashlight, and grabbed my pocket knife. Listened and waited. Footsteps stopped, right next to my tent. A presence. I sensed someone or something staring at me. Held my breath, hoping it would go away, but it didn't. Moved closer until it touched my tent. Faint outline, shadow, a shape. It was a person. A man. He stood over me looking down. A dark hoodie, a mask hiding his face, holding something that looked like a big knife. Panic set in, and I did the only thing I could think of. Unzipped my tent, jumped out, and pointed my flashlight at him. He was behind a tree, surprised and scared. Dropped his knife, ran back into the dark forest, and disappeared. Stunned and terrified, I didn't know what to do. Lost, alone, in danger. Decided to stay put and wait. Waited for the sun to rise, for light to come. Hours passed. I didn't sleep, eat, or drink. Just waited and prayed. Finally, dawn arrived. Sky turned from black to blue, stars faded, and the sun peeked over the horizon. Forest came to life. Birds sang. Saw the trail the way back. Packed my tent, backpack, and knife, and left everything else. Ran back to my car and drove away. I drove until I reached civilization. Safety. Don't know who he was or why he did it. Serial killer, psychopath, or occultist. No clue if he's still out there, dead or in jail. Wonder if he'll find me, if I'll ever see him again. I'm unsure if I'll ever go back to the forest and camp again. I only know one thing. I'm lucky to be alive, and I'm never going camping alone again.